For me, that's the only reason to see the 2005 version of House of Wax, my friends, because that movie wasn't good. My opinion, I didn't like the way they buggered up the story. I mean, if you're going to do a remake, do it good. Stick to the original story. Don't start messing with mythology here, people. Anyway, welcome back to the Nightmare Cinema Club, my friends. Hope you're having a lovely morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are in this world. Today we're covering one of my classic favorites, my favorite classics. We're covering a classic, but again, stars one of my all-time favorite actors, Mr. Vincent Price, in the 1953 version of House of Wax. Now, guys, if you look at the stats of this movie, this movie was done ages ago. If it has a rating like this, then you know this movie is good. And it is. The storytelling, the atmosphere, the way movies were shot way back compared to nowadays. Nowadays everything is about CGI and special effects and fast-paced, and nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't come close to some of these classic movies. It's just my opinion, especially this version of House of Wax. It's quite a funny story on this. This was one of the first color movies that came out in 1953, which was also shot in 3D. Now, I bet you didn't know that 3D went back that far, but the real funny and interesting part is the director of the film. He was blind in one eye. So, how do you have a director that can't see three-dimensional directing a movie like this? But I remember reading somewhere that when he sat in the theater for the first time, he couldn't figure out why people were frightened and amused by what was happening on the screen. What's all this about? It's because your one eye is broken, boot. But anyway, Vincent Price stars in a great, spooky, creepy movie. He plays the part of Henry Jarrett, very talented wax sculptor in New York in the 1900s, and he has a little bit of a problem with his business partner. I think his name is Mr. Burke. He wants to, cash in on the insurance money because he feels that the figures and the sculptures in the museum isn't that good and it's not drawing enough people. He wants to make money. He wants to get back on his investment that he's invested. And Jared is a very calm, Vincent Price's character, he's very calm, he's very understanding, and he basically tells him he'll buy him out and everything, but Burke doesn't want to hear this, so he sets everything on fire. Now, this includes sculptures of Joan of Arc, John Wilkes Booth, and what's considered as Jared's masterpiece, Marie Antoinette, which, it freaks him out completely. He tries to save this establishment and this hard work from being destroyed, but unfortunately it does. Now, and at first it seems like Jared dies in the fire. Then some time passes, and we see Burke having some dinner with Kathy. Now, Kathy is a lovely character. She was played by the late Carolyn Jones, but she has a bit of a she's very but anyway, Burke gets murdered, and it looks like he committed suicide, but in the movie we see that he's murdered by a masked assailant, little creeping guy walking around. Like I said, Burke's murder looks like a suicide, and all of a sudden we see Jared emerging with a new wax museum. He's in a wheelchair, and his hands they've been damaged in the fire, so he can't sculpt anymore. So he has this awesome performance by another one of my favorite actors, the late Charles Bronson, who plays the deaf mute. He and his 2 assistants have opened up this new house of wax, and now it's been adjusted. There's a new feature in it, the Halls of Horror or something like that, which shows the more violent side of history. People faint and, oh, it's so terrible. And I mean, the sculptures look very good and very realistic, but there's a reason for this. We find out later that Kathy is also killed, and in his new establishment, Jared has a new version of Joan of Arc. But she looks very familiar to Sue, her best friend. Now we only find out later on that the body was actually stolen from the morgue by someone, and the resemblance between Joan of Arc and Kathy is spot on. So I think you know where this is going. I don't want to spoil the whole movie for you guys. It's a classic horror movie. It's like the old Hammer horrors. It's absolutely classic. We find out later that Jared is, in fact, it's not only his hands that's been damaged, but he was pretty messed up in the fire, and he's responsible for the bodies that's being stolen, and his new horrific artwork, which looks like real life, is actually stolen bodies. But guys, please seek out this movie. I'm pretty sure you can find it, and I'm pretty sure you can appreciate a movie like this. Like I say, movies like these, that all doesn't have these high ratings if they weren't good. It's just a fact. The 2005 version doesn't come close. It wasn't a bad movie, but again, they messed up the whole story. They changed things around so much, you kind of miss the point. And so please, guys, try and find the 1953 version of House of Wax starring Vincent Price, and let me know down in the comments what you think about this movie. If you have seen it, and if you're seeing it for the first time, let me know. Let's talk about this. But I will see you guys in the next one. Please take care of yourselves out there. And like always, my dear friends, enjoy the fear. Cheers, my friends.